Hi, my name is Danielle Putnam, president of the New Flat Rate. And with me today, I have Chris Michelle. Chris, thanks for joining. And who the heck are you?
That's a great question, Danielle. Thank you for having me, first of all. And the who am I? Gosh, I'm one of the coaches with TNFR, the New Flat Rate, and I do the sales SOS class that we have, which is the third day of the 3-day process. Right, you've got 2 days with Matt and 1 day with Chris. And the 1 day with me is really focused in on the equipment sales. And it may be electrical, it may be plumbing, it may be HVAC, but we do all of those and we pull them all together in one class and help you to get a little bit better on how to sell and how to be more aware really of how to sell and how to get better at it.
Very cool. Well, Chris and I wanted to jump online and chat just for a second about the opportunities for sales training with the New Flat Rate. We have equipment sales training classes, and we also have what we call sales Q&A, monthly ongoing classes for your whole team. And that's a very easy way to get into doing more sales training right now. Chris, could you tell them a little bit more about what people are asking for when it comes to sales? Why do we need sales training in our companies, and any feedback on what members have experienced through these sales classes that you're offering?
Sure. So, as you know, Danielle, I've been around sales, in and around sales for over 30 years, right? And I've been in HVAC, plumbing, electrical for the last 19 years. And I was the guy at the table with you talking about how to get a new system for your home or a new water heater or maybe a new electric panel, right? I was that guy. And so all the time I was able to pick up and learn on some certain things that were really crucial to getting better and more effective at the way that we sell. So what we do in the SOS and even the Q&A classes, we really inject you with the opportunity to learn a little bit more about sales psychology, if you will, right? Why do we do the things that we do? And why is it important that we smile? And why is it important that we engage? And we do things like active listening. And why are those things important? So the SOS class is kind of a bigger, broader class. And we're going to talk a little bit more as we dive into not just using the app, not just how to work through the scripting and make sure that we've got that right, how to overcome objections, but we're going to talk a little bit more about sales psychology in the future as well, because that's what people are asking for. And the Q&A class, Danielle, this is a really nice once a month injection, right? Where it's an hour long and we get the opportunity to have a 10 to 15 minute discussion where we talk about how do we overcome objections specifically. Tell me about when somebody says this, how do I respond? And we get into the mechanics, if you will, right? And we talk specifically more about how to overcome those things, how to actively listen, how to build value in the things that you're saying and the things that you're doing, right? And your company, and how do we promote that without being, salesy and without coming across in the wrong way? And that's what we talk about. And that's what we get to do during classes. So, one of the other things you asked about was about the, and I apologize, my brain is like running at 10,000 miles an hour, right? So it's another one of the things you asked about was what's the feedback we're getting? The feedback I'm getting, I had probably a 45-minute conversation after one of the classes, one of the SOS classes that we did, where I talked with one of the owners and we just went through each one of his people and how can we get better and how can we do more and how can we help them to grow? And so we got that one-to-one time, right? Where he was actually able to give me a call or text me and say, hey, Chris, can you help me out with this? Can you help me to understand this? And I'm not saying we need to do that all the time. If we needed one-on-one sessions, let's pick up one-to-one sessions and let's make sure that we get you what you need. But it was literally a 5-minute question that turned into a 45-minute conversation. So, but the feedback that I'm getting is they love what we're talking about. They love that the people are engaging and they're seeing them get better. One of the members the other day shot me a long email, and I mean, we're talking 5 paragraphs, Danielle. I mean, she took the time to really write things out, and she was so appreciative of the things that we talked about and the way that we basically reinforced the things that she was trying to do as a business owner, right? And so as a business owner, it's easy for you to say, hey, here's what we need to do from a sales or a service standpoint. Here's what we need to say, and here's how we need to act, and here's what we need to do. But then you have somebody like myself, a third party, if you will, come in and say the very same things you're saying. It's like you drop your kids off at the daycare and they listen to the daycare kids, but they don't listen to you, right? And
I
so
know all
we,
about that.
yeah, right. So we become, if you will, we become that extra parent. We become that extra
Mhm.
boss. We become that extra person that reinforces the things that you are trying to say and you're trying to build into your culture. And so really we help to infuse your culture and make it a little bit better too, in terms of what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming an extension of your team.
Yeah.
Chris, do you know what SOS stands for and why we call it the SOS sales class?
I do know what it means.
Oh, you
It
do?
stands for selling on the spot. And I, back in the day, I say back in the day, back in the early 2000s, when I first started in the business, there was a real um, understanding that you were to go in and you were supposed to sell it right then and there. There was no
Mm,
follow-up. There was no, hey, let's get back to them and do all these other. No, they weren't getting 3 and 6 and 10 quotes.
mhm.
You were the person. And when you walked through that door, you had one chance and you gave it everything you had. And so we talk about selling on the spot because if we let somebody walk away, our chances for actually closing the deal significantly decrease. And then comes into then we have to get into the follow-up. And how do we
Mhm.
follow up properly? We talk about that in class. How do we follow up properly? Well, a lot of times it takes anywhere between 2 and 15 times, 15 touches before somebody will actually buy from you. And we get frustrated because we think, well, I don't do that. Why in the world do I need to do that to somebody else? Right? Why would I do that? And that was one of the things that one of the people said in the class that we were doing one time. And they're
Mhm.
like, why? I don't do that. Why would I have to follow up 10, 15, 20 times? Because that's the way people are today. And that's the
Yeah,
world
it
we
used to
live
be
in.
7 touches, a long time ago. I remember it being
Yeah.
7. And then when everything became digitized in the digital world that we live in, it went up
Yeah.
to 15. And I've even heard 24. And so depending on what you're selling, it goes way up.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Chris, this is really helpful. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to just jump on here and talk about sales and the importance of training your team on sales, whether it is your technicians or your field, other field reps or your office staff, right? Even you as the owner, maybe your service manager needs to brush up on your sales skills and some of the sales psychology of why it's important to communicate well with your customers through the sales process. We'd like to invite you to check out our once a month we have the all day long class with Chris, the SOS equipment sales class. And so that's on Wednesdays once a month. And then we also have the Q&A class, the sales Q&A class. And that's not an all day training. That's just an hour that you can bring your whole team to. It's very easy to get re-engaged, to hear what other people are doing, what's working for them, what's not. Click the link below to check out the next sales classes coming up and sign up for one that works well for you. Thanks.